we are going to do a weird American list. I think that summarizes the general vibe. We're going to be looking at things that American people left America. Oh, he's gone already. Do you want to just come closer? Good boy. American people who left America didn't realize were weird until they left America.
Yeah, it's catchy. It's catchy.
I'll come up with a shorter title. So these are things that I've either collected from Reddit and stuff I've seen from you guys in comments over time. Oh, getting ahead of myself if you've never seen me before in your life. I'm Diane, I'm an Irish girl from Ireland. I like to talk about stuff and things, and I'm fascinated with American culture, and I like to visit there sometimes. My goal is to go to all of the states in my lifetime. We're getting there. We're getting there. And I try to kind of skip the boring ones, you know, the tipping, because we've done that. I haven't done one of these lists in a while, so I'm interested to see if my opinions have changed over time. Here we go. Up first, we have skyscrapers. So this is something I touched on in a recent video. I mentioned that Ireland has a huge housing crisis at the moment, most specifically Dublin. And then outside of that, like places around Dublin. The crisis comes from the fact that there is nowhere to live. So the prices of the places that are available go up, 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 cutting people out of the market. So something some people had proposed was building in an upward area motion. We don't have a lot of tall buildings. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One is we have very soft ground, marshy. I believe it's called estuary soil. It's not ideal for building heavy things on. They're not impossible, but makes it less financially attractive because you're going to have to invest way more money in that kind of thing, making the foundations good. And on that, like building out was originally a thing that they could do, so they did, and it was cheaper. Then just superficially, people didn't really like the look of it. It felt not Irish, so they didn't build upward back in the day because they thought it was like getting notions about building upward. It's very American.
Americans like big, yes.
People like the look of Ireland as it is. People liked the Georgian streets of Dublin, and they didn't want to fook with that. I do think it's nice we like to protect the heritage look of the place, but it would be nicer to have places to live in Dublin. So hopefully that is something that is coming. Oh, circumcision. I didn't know this till my adult life for obvious reasons. In America, the default is to circumcise boys at birth, but in most parts of Europe anyway, by the way, my comparison is Europe because that's where I'm from, most people don't circumcise unless it's like part of your religion or it's just something the parent wants to do. I would go so far as to say some people think it's quite barbaric to do it.
You don't mess with a man's sandwich.
That being said, I have known people who, either in their adult life or people with children, who've had to have it done later in life for medical reasons. And I can't go beyond that because I myself am not in possession of one of those things.
Well, that is brand new disclosed information.
But yeah, it's an interesting one. Let me know below in comments if you think it should be the default that you get circumcision, or do you think it should be something a man chooses for himself? Screen windows. Does Europe not have bugs? Okay, I am in Spain right now and I have screen windows on pretty much all my windows. Like the sliding across ones because you do get a lot of mosquitoes and things here. But in Ireland, you are more likely to get the big, huge flies. In Ireland, we have these big flies. But there's not a whole lot of very dangerous things that fly in the sky in Ireland. Like, unless you think of wasps or bees. We just don't really have infrastructure generally around outdoory things. A lot of our stuff in Ireland is around the fact that you want to stay warm in the winter and when it's invariably sometimes cold, even in the spring or summer. We do get heat, but not always. So in the same way we don't have like air conditioning by default at the moment, we wouldn't think to put in screen doors really so much. But that being said, it is interesting because like I touched on the air conditioning thing there, we don't really so much have air conditioning. The idea would be open your window. And I have learned since being on YouTube from you guys that that doesn't work when it's so hot in America, because if you open the window, you're actually going to make the room hotter. So that was interesting just as somebody who didn't come from a hot place to learn. Loudness. Oh, okay. I have an idea. I want to talk about this in a video. People accusing Americans of being loud, because I have a different philosophy on the whole thing. Let me know below in comments if you want to see that video. Asking where you are from and meaning something completely different. That is so interesting. So I think when I started on YouTube, I didn't realize that American people say they're Irish, even though they know they're born in America, raised in America, because that's their heritage, and it's so much more important to American people where they came from, because America is such a big melting pot. I always say hot pot, which is the wrong term. I like hot pot though. Because America is so big, I think people find it more important to say like where their ancestors came from and stuff. Whereas somewhere like Ireland or Spain or Germany, people say where they were born and raised as the place where they were from. When I, as a European, would ask an American, where are you from? I'd be more so asking to know like, are they American or are they Canadian, just from the accent. But in America, when you ask a person within America where they're from, they'll say like Italian American, I'm German American, Irish American. But they won't say Irish American, they'll just say Irish. Whereas in Ireland, you're Irish American. So that is a different thing. Oh, by the way, don't forget to subscribe. Otherwise, you know that dream where all your teeth fall out? That could happen in real life. I'm not saying it would be connected to you not subscribing to this channel, but could be. So subscribe. Ranch. Yes. You guys are obsessed with ranch. Like, ranch is the default side dish. And I think I don't like ranch because I just never grew up with ranch. I think maybe if I grew up with ranch, I'd like ranch more because it would be like kind of like the cozy dressing. But you have ranch with everything. And actually, there is a Doritos flavor that is called American Flavor Doritos, which people have discovered is actually just ranch flavor. Which is so interesting because when I think of America, I think of more like barbecue-y, but I guess maybe that goes to like Texas flavored. But yeah, like there are some places you go in America where the only dressings available are going to be ketchup and ranch. And mayonnaise as well, I guess. But we in Ireland are obsessed with garlic and herb dip. Like most places you go will have garlic dip. And that's not like a big thing there. So it's just, yeah, a difference. This one was interesting, just generally speaking. It said, I don't care which one we go with, but can the world just decide on one electrical outlet? Yes. It is so annoying that we have different electrical outlets. And I know all the tech-minded people who know about electricity things will tell me all about the voltages and stuff. But it's just like so annoying that you have to use an adapter everywhere. And sometimes if you put the thing even in an adapter, it might blow your whole house. Ireland uses a completely different plug socket than Spain. And then America obviously has a different plug socket again. Does Canada have the same socket as America? Can't remember. But I think like in the same way that they've made it now, they have to all have, is it USB-C adapters on all things? That was becoming really annoying for a while. You had to have like 50 million different cables whenever you left your house. But now they've set some regulations that you have to, all these new things have to have the same type of cable. Thank God. I wish we all had the same type of electrical outlet, but I think that would be harder to roll out, obviously, for the expense of having to be able to do it. I don't get this one. Letter size paper versus A4 size paper. What? I remember when I used to have pen pals when I was a kid, you'd have these cute little letter pages, and I guess they were mostly smaller and they'd have little flowers on them or whatever. But is that not the standard size paper in America? 8.5 by 11 is a little bit smaller, and apparently that's what you would use for letters in America. Does that count for like work letters as well? Because that is annoying. You'd have to change the printer size all the time. I just had to order ink for the printer. Oh my God. I want to be one of those cool people who has a laser printer. They do seem so much better. Stupid HP printers. They just eat the ink and they hardly ever work. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. I didn't know that. Eating a meal really quickly. This is a really interesting one, and I think it is kind of tied to the tipping culture. Also, just America is very go, go, go. Parts of Europe are more go, go, go than other parts. Ireland is way more go, go, go than, for example, Spain. In Spain, they expect you to sit at a table for like hours and hours and hours. Now, obviously, people don't do that on the daily every single day, but a lot of days they do. And I think this is also to do with how often you get checked on in restaurants in America. Like, I will be sitting there just chilling, and I will admit it, I am a slow eater. I eat really notoriously slowly. Whenever I'm with anyone outside of my mom and dad, I am shocked at how slow of an eater I am. I rarely get to finish my meal because I'm kind of feel embarrassed that I'm the last one eating all the time. And people say that being a slow eater is a good thing. Maybe it is, but I wanted to eat my meal, now I'm embarrassed about it. But like, I will be eating a meal in America and like the waiter or waitress will check on me like 5 times. And they always do it when your mouth is full, like, hi ma'am, is everything okay for you? And you're like, I think they do that on purpose. Like, they don't really want to know. Although, maybe it's because Americans so much request like specific things that is done with strategy. Americans I've said this before, are not afraid to ask what they want. So like you will customize all your meals, and that is not a thing in Europe. You can do it like to an extent, but it's not like to the degree to which Americans do it. So I might go somewhere and say like, oh, can I get that without onions? And they could say no, because they've already prepped the food like ahead of the day. But Americans will be like, I want this on the side, and I want that and this and that and this, and I want it done like this and grilled like that. It's really interesting because I do think for me it's a lesson to be learned, not necessarily in restaurants, but to say what you want from something. Like if I'm getting a service, now I've kind of learned from the Americans on YouTube that it's okay to say what you want and be less apologetic about it. Like in Ireland, we are very apologetic about asking anybody for anything.
I'm so sorry. No, baby, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
And I'm always polite, but I have learned like if you're paying for something, it's okay to ask specifically for what you want. And they can say no, and that's okay, but it's okay to ask. Garbage disposals. Oh, I do love an L garbage disposal. I haven't had one long term, so I haven't learned like the upkeep on them. Is it very difficult to use them? Like, do you have to clean them out all the time? Don't put your hand down a garbage disposal. You'll end up in a 90s horror movie.
Yeah, you definitely got something jammed down here.
But in Europe, we don't have them. You just scrape your stuff into like the recycling bin. That is a big thing, by the way, especially in Ireland, like you are forced to recycle. Less so in America, as I understand it. But I am fascinated with like just putting all the food down what seems to me to be the sinkhole, but it's not. It's the garbage disposal. And then, do you have to clean that out? Somebody told me this before. Do you empty that systematically? Or does it just go out like when you flush the loo? Things you don't think through. Because anytime I've used one, it's been like at an Airbnb, and then obviously I don't so much have to worry about like the long-term upkeep of it. And finally, we have free public restrooms. Yeah, this is an interesting one because I think if an American came to most parts of Europe and didn't know what to look for, they would find themselves needing coins for restrooms. So a lot of our public restrooms like require you to put coins in. And who has coins anymore? Who carries around coins? I never have coins. My mom does. My mom always has coins. I don't. I would know how to get around it where I live because I would know like where there's a McDonald's or something. Like you could pop into a pub and just use the bathroom. Most people don't mind unless you're making a hoopla out of it. But it's not exclusive. Like some public restrooms, like in the mall, you don't. Well, sometimes in the mall you do have to pay for them. I remember I was at a train station in Madrid and I desperately needed to use the facilities. As happens after a long train journey, I don't like to use the toilets in a train or so much because you're just like moving. It's a whole thing. I don't like it. And I did not have a coin. And I was like begging the cleaning lady. I was like, please, please, can I just use? And she was like, no. And I was like, anyway, I managed to go find somewhere to break like a €50 note or something. But that was just mean. That was mean. Anyway, let me know below in comments anything that surprised you in this list. That's it for today. See you guys on the other side. Bye.